The fourth round of the 2013 FIA GT Series sees us in Bratislava at the Slovakia ring. This new circuit, only opened in 2005, is becoming a firm favourite with drivers, and we should have a great weekend of racing. But before we get on with the action, let's have a look back at the last round in Holland at Zandvoort. At the start of the race, it was Max Buch in the HTP Mercedes that got the best start, pulling into the lead that was taken initially by Laurens Vanthoor, but Buch it was who crossed the line in first place. At the end of lap one, there was a bit of drama. Andreas Simonsen ran wide, Dominic Baumann was on the attack, but behind it was Cesar Campanico who speared into the barriers, crashing his Audi R8 heavily. He was out of the race and out of the car okay, as his teammate Carlos Vieira watched on. It was a problem with the ABS that sent the Audi spearing into the crash barrier and unfortunately into a photographer as well. He managed to escape though with only a broken leg. The red flags came out, the race was brought to a stop, but on the restart nothing could stop Max Buch. There was great squabbling throughout the pack as Simonsen and Baumann continued to go side by side. Wolfgang Reip trying to take advantage but unable to get through. The Nissan was on a charge, Alex Buncombe sweeping past the number 10 McLaren as Mike Parisi ran wide. And then there was a great move from Matthias Stump, finding the inside line and going past Felipe Salaquada. Salaquada then lost out to the Team Brazil BMW as well. Andreas Simonsen then, all on his own, managed to spin at the first corner, knocking him a long way back down the field. And then Ricardo Zonta, with an ambitious move on Salaquada, tapped the Ferrari into a spin. Beached in the gravel, his race was over. At the pit stops, Buch handed over to his teammate Israeli Alan Day, and they came out well in the lead of the chasing Audis. The two Audis were actually getting pretty close and had to be told to calm down a little bit by the pit wall so that they didn't take each other out. Alain Coder was pushing hard to try and pass the Nissan, now in the hands of Alex Buncombe, and finally the BMW's attempts paid off. A great move around the outside, a bit of body rubbing, but the Brazilian was through. The checker flag fell though for Maximilian Buch and Alan Day, who won for the first time this season in FIA GT. Stepping up this season is reigning GT3 champion Maximilian Buch, making his debut in FIA GT Series.
There is no doubt that this young hot rod is going to rattle the cage of the establishment in FIA GT.
Great performance from Buch, third on his debut in Nogaro. Third race of the season here in Zandvoort, the Audi on pole, Buch in second. Lights go green, away we go. It's a good start from Buch. Is he going to take the advantage and get past the Audi? Buch leads.
Buch has made good use of the power of the Mercedes off the line to slot the Mercedes into the lead into turn one.
Maximilian Buch and teammate Alan Day take the win in round 3 of the FIA GT Series. At BMW Team Brazil, hopes are pinned high for this weekend in Slovakia because the BMW should suit this 5.9-kilometre circuit. Kaka Bueno and Alain Coder have been the team's strongest pairing this season so far.
The 2012 race here with BMW, the performance was very good, but I think was a little bit of difference between these years and last year of engine and tires, but I think it's the best track for us.
At Mercedes, it was a very successful weekend in Zandvoort for Alan Day and Maximilian Buch, taking the win in the main race. And whilst a lot of attention's been put on Buch, Alan Day has put his mark on the season as well.
You know, immediately after the win, we think about the next race, we think about the championship. We know Slovakia ring should be fit quite good for the Mercedes. We push as hard as we can, you know. Hope we're gonna be there. It's possible. We will give everything, me and Maxi.
Times have been tough and well documented for Sebastian Loeb and Alvaro Parent, but in the second car things haven't gone much better. But Mike Parisi is very confident this weekend, having won here back in 2011.
We had a very good feeling this morning on Slovakia ring, I think, and we hope that it's a very good track for McLaren. We are quite confident. We have to push because the level is very high in this series, but we have perhaps a card to play this today and this weekend.
WRT are the current teams leaders and driver leaders, Stefan Ortelli and Laurens Vanthoor topping the standings as we left Zandvoort. But in the number 13 car, it's been a more difficult season for Frank Stippler and Edvard Sandström after they won the opening round at Nogaro.
The track suits the car quite well, and it looks like we had a decent day today. Unfortunately, Frank had some traffic in the last corner in Q2, and that affected his result, and he couldn't do the Super Pool because we were 11th. But in the end, Rust was on pole and Fanto was 4th. So it's like usual for us. We have to fight a little bit, but that's normal. So I'm confident.
Reiter Engineering are fielding 2 Lamborghinis this weekend. Marc Basseng returns to the series alongside Albert von Turnen Taxis, whilst in the sister car Peter Cox is alongside home man Stefan Racina, looking to impress at his local circuit.
To be honest, it is really difficult to say how is it going to be, in a way, because obviously this championship is very tough. And I think also some other brands are now in form, but to be honest, I'm happy to be driving a Lamborghini, and I have a great teammate, a great team crew, so I think the all ingredients are there. Now just we need some luck, and hopefully we can make it to some nice result.
Unfortunately, there's only one Nissan here this weekend. After Alex Bunkum's big crash at the Spa 24-hour race, the RGN team will just be fielding one machine with Bunkum and Wolfgang Reip at the wheel.
For this weekend, I think we're going to try to do as well as in Spa, podium in category. I think the track will probably be the best track in FIA GT for the car. The first part of the track is very fast, and that's good for us. The infield is going to be a little bit more tricky as there are 2 small hairpins, but I think it's a good package for us.
There's a second AF Corsa Ferrari this weekend as well. Claudio Stanovic and Michele Rugolo will be in the Gentleman's Trophy, whilst as ever in the Pro-Am Cup, Philippe Salaquada will be partners with Fabio Anidi. Salaquada is confident, having won here last season.
Last year we did well, I think, so I have good memories for this circuit, which is almost home place. Our speed is quite okay, but just we're struggling a little bit with the tires because the temperature is very hot, which is not good for us. Our goal is to get in Superpole and to be somewhere in the front to start the race.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Slovakia Ring. We are here just outside of Bratislava for the 4th round of this 2013 FIA GT Series. We've got the qualifying race coming up for you now before the main race comes up later on today. It's going to be very entertaining, there's no doubt about that. Track temperature almost 50 degrees, 24.7 degrees the air temperature. It doesn't feel humid though, John, does it? It's quite a cool heat, if that makes any sense.
Normally in Central Europe at this time of year, it'd be just the sweat would be pouring off you, but what we've got is relatively dry heat. Great for the racetrack, great for the drivers, great for the tyres.
Here's a look at the grid then. René Rast will start on pole position with Stefan Racina alongside in the red Lamborghini. Then we've got the first of the HTP Mercedes, Sergei Afanasiev. Best qualifying performance of the season so far for the BMW Team Brazil squad. Kaka Bueno will start in 4th place. There's last weekend's winners. The number 1 car of Maximilian Buch and Alan Day. Then the first of the McLarens in 8th and 9th positions, 8th and 10th positions, the 2 McLarens after they qualified 2nd and 3rd, but because of a qualifying infringement, not getting out of the pits at the right time, they were demoted all the way down to the lower reaches of the top 10. Same can be said as well of the Vanthor Ortelli Audi. There's the 2 AF Corsa Ferraris side by side on the 7th row of the grid. Jan Seyfarth and Patrick Kuna. Aman Ibrahim in the BMW alongside Cesar Campanico, who are very frustrated this weekend. Sergio Jimenez down in 19th place after that car has struggled with gearbox and engine problems all weekend. And then Hubert Haupt will start the 2nd Seyfarth Mercedes at the back of the grid. So the red lights are on. When they go green, the race will be underway, and round 4 of this FIA GT Series will begin. There's plenty of space for the cars as the lights go out. Away we go. Who's going to get the best getaway? It's so difficult to tell. It's such a wide open circuit. They're going 3, 4, 5 abreast even at some points, but René Rast it is, I think, who has held the lead on the run down into the first corner. It looks like it might be. Look at all the way around the outside has come Álvaro Parente from 8th on the grid. The number 50, of course, of Ferrari's gone into the gravel, but how far up the order has Parente managed to get there? Phenomenal attempt from him. He's up into second place. A piece of bodywork flying up high into the air as they now have to form into single file to get through the chicane, but Álvaro Parente has gone from 8th on the grid to 2nd in the race. Phenomenal start from the Portuguese driver.
Everybody tends to take the inside line into turn 1. If you take the long way round, you've got a clear run and nobody runs out on top of you, you get the position. Álvaro Parente used all that single-seater racing experience to go from 8th to 2nd, and what a great start for the McLaren.
Phenomenal stuff, but it's René Rast there in the number 12 Audi who leads the way. Parente 2nd, 3rd is Racina in the Lamborghini, 4th then is Dominic Baumann in the Grasser Racing Lamborghini, and there you can see the bodywork that has come off Maximilian Buch's car, well, by bodywork I mean entire bonnet that's gone flying off, so we'll have to see whether that's affecting his progress at all, as we see the Seyfarth Mercedes putting a little challenge on Alex Bunker, but no move being made just yet. There you can see it, bonnetless, and that'll affect the aerodynamics a little bit.
Well, it will have an effect on aerodynamics. Whether it's negative or positive, we'll wait to see. Also, whether that'll be a flag to come into the pit, whether it is deemed to be unsafe, I can't imagine why not. As they're diving down the inside, Bunker again under challenge, having anything to keep that position.
Jan Seyfarth really getting a little bit racy. Did he make it through? Just trying to look in the background there. I don't think he did. But René Rast is starting to pull away now up at the front. Álvaro Parente 2nd. We're expecting to see some good pace from Álvaro, but we'll wait and see whether that transpires. There's a little bit of damage on the front part of the second Charouz Mercedes, as still Seyfarth is battling hard with Alex Bunker, unable to get past. And the difficulty for Seyfarth will be that the Nissan is very, very good in a straight line as they exit out onto the start, finish straight then. This is all the battle over 12th position. They've got Fabio Anidi right behind as well. As we come down into turn 1, Anidi's actually going to be challenging the Mercedes here. Anidi in the air, of course, a red Ferrari looking to the outside. Try and get the cut back into 2 perhaps, but not quite enough momentum. René Rast, though, crosses the line with a 1.6 second advantage up at the front. Here's the start of the race then. Álvaro Parente dives out very early on when the lights went to red, but you can see he's still not particularly far up the order. He's just on the outside.
But being on the outside, if you're clear enough of the traffic, everybody dives to the inside. If there's room on the outside and you're careful not to, and that's Michele Rugolo getting sort of punched out.
Here we go on board with Parente. Yeah, I think the Mercedes in front had a dab on the brakes just as the lights went green. And behind, the number 2 Mercedes was up into 2nd place by the time they turned through the right-hander. So it'll be interesting to see. If you look on the right-hand side here, the Mercedes is going to be right up in there, that red and white machine.
Yeah, but
Afanasieff.
Yeah, but the trouble is
right in there.
Yeah, but he's off the racing line. That's the dirty part of the racetrack. He has to slow down sooner because he's got a more acute corner. So while he gained position on the run down to turn 1, he lost it in the actual entry into the corner, and that's why Álvaro Parente was able to sweep around the outside. There was clear track. All he had to be careful of was people exiting to the corner. There was enough space, there wasn't going to be contact. He's got past.
Laurens Vanthoor has got past Mike Parisi then somewhere on this lap and is now up into 8th position. There's a bit of a smoky issue for the number 6 car of Aman Ibrahim. The BMW, Team India BMW is not looking too healthy.
That's the left bank of the V8 BMW engine. That's just coming down from turn 9 to turn 10, and something has gone pretty wrong. Now, whether that's simply a engine failure or a oil failure, sometimes you get hydraulic lines that are leaking oil onto an exhaust system. Whatever it is, it's terminal for that BMW India car right now, and disappointment for Ibrahim. In the meantime, Laurens Vanthoor still up into 8th place, pumping out fastest sector 1 time. He's been doing it consistently since the start, so he's made up effectively 1 or 2 places since this race got underway. We're on the 5th lap.
Safety car deployed here at the Slovakia ring, presumably not because of that dust cloud, but because of the smoking BMW. So the safety car comes out. That'll be a frustration for René Rast. He'd build up a 3.7 second advantage, and that will now be wiped. Álvaro Parente in 2nd position, Stefan Racina 3rd, Baumann 4th still. Safety car will be in this lap, so racing will be back underway, which will be very entertaining, thankfully.
Well,
make a change.
The safety car will actually come in after the pit lane opens.
Rast has got on with the program already, hasn't he? He's already at full racing speed. That's caught out Kaka Bueno more than anyone in 6th position. He's dropped back quite a way from Maximilian Buch behind him. So we're green, the pit stop window is open. Are we going to see anyone have a dive in? Yes, we are. So in comes Dominic Baumann, Maximilian Buch, Kaka Bueno as well, and as we thought, Laurens Vanthoor. This is going to be very, very interesting tactically as the cars all rumble past our commentary box here. This is Michele Rugolo going past, or well, battling with Sergio Jimenez, getting the cutback, and Rugolo is about to go past. So the Gentleman Trophy car, which is in the hands of Michele Rugolo, is doing very well. There you can see the pit stop, as we suspected, for Mike Parisi to hand over to Andy Zuber. Here comes the Mercedes. And that's good news in general for the Sebastian Loeb team, because they were a lot further behind.
3 positions behind Maximilian Buch at that point.
It hasn't worked out for the Audis, though, as they come out the pits. Look, the Audi is...
No, don't do that. That's a penalty. You'll be definitely... I mean, to come out of the pit lane like that and just suddenly flick across. That Edward Sandstrom, I suspect, will get a penalty, be it a drive-through penalty.
But he's going to try and go past on the inside on the run-up into turn 2. Got a few wheels on the grass, keeps it in there, and goes past Andy Zuber. He'll now have to make as much progress as possible, because that looked fairly clear-cut, that little cut of the white line on pit lane exit.
Yeah, but that was a schoolboy error. Simply Edward Sandstrom just too anxious to get the momentum and pull out past. And he realised he'd made the mistake and he had to get out of it. But that will not have gone unmissed by... Let's look at it again. We've got the Mercedes, McLaren, then Edward Sandstrom. Wait, he's actually under the rear wing of the McLaren. He just simply...
And then at this point he goes, oh no, and pulls back in. Look, there he goes. He slams on the wheel and goes, oh, I better, no one will notice. Here's Sergio Jimenez in the pits.
I think that 1.7 second gap actually is slightly less, because I think Alvaro Parent and the core on the 12th lap, very close indeed. Is that an unsafe release, or will that be considered just about get away with?
Let's see where they come out. Simonson is going to come out then behind that BMW. That's not good news for him. Here comes the attack from Stefan Ortelli, trying to go past Andres Zuber. And Ortelli goes through, does he? No. Zuber's holding on the outside line, a little bit of contact, but Zuber surely won't be able to hold the outside all the way around turn 2. He'll give it a go though, but he's not going to manage it, and Ortelli moves through.
The idea off track.
Carlos Vieira.
What a mess he's making of getting back onto the racetrack.
Yep, Carlos Vieira pulling back onto the circuit after a little moment. Let's have a look.
This is
up
turn
6. Whoa, there he goes.
I mean, we've seen a couple of Karun Chandra got it all wrong there in practice, and he went way off to the left. We never really found him since. Whereas
Vieira actually spun there in free practice 2 yesterday, so he's struggling with that corner. In comes Alvaro Parent to hand over to Sebastian Loeb.
What they're going to be looking for is a ultra slick pit stop. So Alvaro Parent gets out, the slightly shorter but stocky Sebastian Loeb gets in. All those lessons learned from the opening rounds when Loeb came in for his pit stop to hand to Parent. He undid the seat belts before he got to a stop. Those lessons well learned, and that well-oiled machine that is Sebastian Loeb Racing car off the jacks. There she goes. Good stop, I would say.
Looked pretty decent, didn't it? Away goes Alvaro Parent, Sebastian Loeb now at the wheel of that McLaren, and he's got plenty of track space in front of him, and by the looks of it, plenty of track space behind him. Into the pit comes René Rast, up on the jacks. Wheels get changed.
Of course, Melnhoff is a taller driver than René Rast, so they've got a seat filler to enable the driver change. So Melnhoff gets into the cockpit as we look and see.
Sebastian Loeb coming around turn 13 then. René Rast is going to drop down. That's been a good stop from the WRT guys, and they're right at the end of the pit lane as well. So Nicky Melnhoff is going to comfortably rejoin in the lead of the race, but Sebastian Loeb will be up to speed by now and will be closing in on Meyer Malnoff before too long, I think. We'll see what kind of pace Meyer Malnoff can find, though. Out of the pits here comes the the Lamborghini of Peter Cox, and he has lost out. He's lost 2 positions and is now down to 5th place. That car came into the pits in 3rd. It's come out of the pits in 5th.
Slightly the pit lane exit.
But it will be 4th, apologies, because a drive-through penalty has just been awarded to the Audi in front of it, car number 13.
I was going to say what's going to happen, but taking them a little bit of time to come to the judgment that that move by Sandstrom coming out of the pit lane when he came across the pit lane exit line way before he even exited the pit lane. So he's going to be penalised for that. Doing it at the earliest possible moment and just make sure on the exit he doesn't cross the white line again. I mean, it's an obvious thing to say, but it can happen.
And we've got a car off at turn 9. I think that's the second Seyfarth, isn't it? So that's an unfortunate moment for Jensi Michael. We're back up on the focus on the race lead, and Nicky Meyer Malnoff is now right under pressure from Sebastian Loeb. If these two start battling hard, Alan Day might start to close in as well. But we saw Nicky defending hard here last year, but look at the advantage that Loeb has got. He's got the slipstream. Meyer Malnoff needs to cover the inside line. He's not going to. Sebastian Loeb is going to take the lead of the race here. The McLaren slides through on the inside, and Sebastian Loeb leads.
Yeah, good planned move by Sebastian Loeb. Looked a little bit tentative from both drivers. Weren't quite sure whether Loeb was going to take the line up the inside, and sort of both of them danced around the head of a pin until it was clear that Loeb had the momentum and he was going to take the position away from Meyer Malnoff.
And here's a replay of the overtake. It looked fairly straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much classic. You get the slipstream. The main thing is you get alongside the car you're overtaking, and then by being on the inside of the racetrack, was able to control the corner, and Nicky Meyer Malnoff really in new position. Once he let Loeb get alongside, he didn't do anything to try to be aggressive in his defense. He just allowed Loeb to get up the inside, and once he was at that point at the apex of the corner, it was all over. The lead had changed from Audi to McLaren.
And look at this, what happened to Loeb? So, what did Meyer Malnoff do right? Because Meyer Malnoff has closed right back in for the lead of the race. I wonder if there was a kerfuffle or something somewhere, because Meyer Malnoff took 0.3 of a second out of him in both sectors 1 and 2.
Well, I would assume that there's something, Sebastian Loeb has made an error somewhere, because there's no way in one lap that the gap between first and second, and it's not the gap between first and fourth, would be run down in the space of half a lap. So something has gone on circuit. I mean, it's easy, for example, coming over the hill down into turn 10, just to overrun. You're trying to consolidate your lead, and you make one small error, and that just means that Nicky Meyer Malnoff gains an advantage, but also gains the psychological advantage, knowing that I am applying pressure to this. What's that all about?
That's a bit of extra branding for Blancpain.
I'll tell you what, I don't know if he's being paid for that, but certainly it's getting the message across.
Carlos Vieira with his presumably second off of the day so far. Look at this, here comes Nicky Meyer Malnoff for the lead of the race, challenging Sebastian Loeb, and he's got the inside line as he coming into 9, not quite close enough, but Nicky Meyer Malnoff, now he's got into the groove, he is absolutely on it. We thought Loeb would pull away, but now Meyer Malnoff is right with him, and everyone else is coming too.
Well, all it can be is either a mistake from Sebastian Loeb, or there's a mechanical issue with the McLaren that suddenly has resurrected its head, and now he is under pressure. First of all for Nicky Meyer Malnoff, now from the Mercedes. Alan Day. No, not close enough to do it this time.
And that will compromise him throughout the whole of the final corner. Unfortunately for Nicky, he needs to be careful here, because he's got a lot of cars right up behind him as well as they come across the line. Here's the look from Alan Day. Is he going to force his way through? He's got enough of an overlap, and Day will surely move up into second place. A bump between them. Meyer Malnoff is pushed out off the circuit, and he goes from second to 5th. Difficult, really, to see whether that was unnecessary from Day or whether he left Meyer Malnoff enough room. But now Nicky is down into 5th place, and you can imagine the rage inside the cockpit now.
Let's have a look at it again.
It's a good move initially.
It's a good move.
8.
In fairness, it's a move that he dives down the inside. He gets the Mercedes. At that point, he's only, well, no further than the driver's door, but it's increasing the position. The bump actually occurs more on the exit. at which point the two cars are pretty much side by side.
Well, the incident is now under investigation. It's all getting interesting behind because Nicky Meermanov has slid off the circuit at the Blancpain chicane. Here comes the attack from Andy Zuber around the outside. Zuber goes through up into 5th place, and now Meermanov will have Harry Procek behind to deal with, and Procek and Simonsen in the Lamborghini and the Mercedes are also battling over the lead of the Pro-Am class, which is important stuff for them. So there's plenty of action still going on. The BMWs from Team Brazil. Whoa, Harry Procek, is he heading towards the gravel there? No, keeps it all together, but Simonsen is going to get through, is he? He'll have the outside line for the next corner, though. And Harry Procek just about holds on to the lead of Pro-Am. Here comes Simonsen. A little bit of a touch. Simonsen through into the lead of Pro-Am, up into 7th place.
Here's the Lamborghini. Here the back end goes out. Look, one way, then back the other way. And that whole momentum lost. And there's the Mercedes up the inside, going through this very long turn 6. But the Lamborghini then is on the inside for 7, coming down to 8, until the Mercedes dives up almost into invisible. There's not barely much contact there. That might be considered to be an avoidable incident.
And a drive-through penalty for Alan Day for causing contact with Nicky Meermanov. Now, is that smoke from the Lamborghini, or is that just a spin?
Well, I think it's a smoke, because the car did spin, but he's got the car turned round. But if you noticed that the Lamborghini, a lap ago, look at the rubber he lays on, the back of the car was all over the place coming up into turn 6, and I suspect it's the legacy of that problem that's caught him out. In fact, it's not a mechanical, it's a driver issue.
Somewhere out there on the circuit, Stefan Ortelli is now up into 3rd place. He's got past Peter Cox. Here they come down into turn 1. Ortelli is into 3rd. Cox is down to 4th. That will change when Alan Day has his drive-through penalty. But somewhere out there, Stefan Ortelli has made the move and is up into what will become 2nd position.
Let's have a look and see what happened again. This is the replay.
He gets the move done.
I don't think there's any significant contact at this point.
There.
The contact comes when they're side by side there. Now, whether that was deemed to be deliberate.
As into the pits now for the drive-through penalty comes number 1, Alan Day. That means Sebastian Loeb comes across the line then to continue in the lead of the race, but Ortelli is up into 2nd position. Peter Cox is up into 3rd. Andy Zuber will cross the line into 4th place. 5th now will be Meermanov. Red flag being held out to Alan Day. I don't know what that's about, but he's allowed to get on his way. So don't really know what that was about, but he's coming out now in 11th position, I believe, behind Edward Sandstrom. And Alvaro Parent unwilling to celebrate until Loeb finally crosses the line, which he's about to do. Through the right-hander. He's yet to win a main race here in FIA GT. That may come this afternoon, but it's the 2nd qualifying race win of the season in the 4th round of the championship here at the Slovakia ring for Sebastian Loeb and Alvaro Parent. Across the line comes Stefan Ortelli to take 2nd place, just ahead of Peter Cox. Good battle between those two throughout the race. And Andy Zuber coming across the line in 4th place. Into the pits comes Loeb. And we'll be having a word with him in a few moments' time. Sebastian climbs out of the car after taking his 2nd race win of the season, but no main race victory just yet. Seems pretty happy though. So there we can see Loeb.
Sebastian,
yes.
Congratulations. What's it like to be back on the winner's podium?
Yeah, very good. Very good start. It feels good. We've done a great job with Alvaro. He has done an incredible start from the 8th place to the 2nd place in the first corner, so that was incredible. And from that, we managed to keep the contact with the lead. Finally, in my stint, I was able to overtake the first one. So starting from 8, we were not so happy yesterday. So now winning the first qualifying race is good, and it's good to have this kind of feeling, because we were used since a few races not to be lucky, so now it seems to be over.
Here's a look at the results then after 27 laps of racing, about 20 minutes of which was behind the safety car. Sebastian Loeb and Alvaro Parent took the victory, 4.7 seconds clear of Stefan Ortelli and Laurence Vanthor in 2nd place. The championship leaders extending their advantage. Peter Cox and Stefan Rossina finishing in 3rd position. Andreas Simonsen won the Pro-Am class. That car in 16th place there. The Stadosvich Rugolo car won the Gentleman's Trophy. but there will be a lot of frustration for Karun Chandhok and Jan Seyfarth. A problem exiting the pit lane meant that they finished down in 20th place. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Slovakia ring in the Orachovo-Poten region of Slovakia for the 4th round in the 2013 FIA GT Series. It's a fantastic venue, just maybe a 45-minute drive outside the capital city, Bratislava, and it's certainly a circuit that's given us some excellent racing as the crowd stand on their feet for the Slovakian national anthem. Here's a look at the grid then as we segue our way down towards the back of it. There we saw the gap on the left-hand side where the BMW Team Brazil car should have been. And then we get to the back of the grid, and unfortunately it doesn't look as though the Team India BMW has managed to make it out onto the circuit, does it? Because they had an engine failure in the first race, and it was a pretty short turnaround, so they were trying to get it fixed in time for this main race, but it doesn't look like they've achieved it, unfortunately, which is a real shame for Aman Ibrahim and local driver Philip Sledecka, who hasn't actually driven and won't have driven a racing lap this weekend. So the formation lap gets underway then. The car's pulling off the grid ahead of this 1-hour race. The car on the right-hand side there, the Audi with the white wing mirrors and the white rear wing, is the one that is leading the championship at the moment, but it is the Sebastian Loeb Racing McLaren that will start this race from pole position, but it's such a wide start, it's such a long run down to the first corner, a wide circuit, anything can happen.
Well, we saw on the start of the qualifying race, Alvaro Parent came from what is on screen, the right-hand side of the circuit, and swooped from 8th in the grid all the way up into 2nd place. But Sebastian Loeb is on the left-hand side of the circuit on your screen at home. So to me, to some extent, the advantage goes to, in fact, we're looking at this, Otelli in the Audi, and remember that Audi with a revision to its aerodynamics going back to the 2012 spec wing is going to be quick in that run down to turn 1.
And there's Nicky Melnoff starting in 5th place as well. He's going to be an interesting one to watch after he had pace in the opening race. Only one of these BMWs will be on the grid, the 21 car, after that failure we've just seen before the start of the race for the 0 car. Edward Sandstrom will be hoping to make up for his mistake really in the first race. Alongside him will be Alan Day. Then we get Albert von Turn and Taxis in the 2nd, Reiter Engineering Lamborghini alongside Wolfgang Wright. Philippe Salaquada in the Pro-Am entry AF Corsa Ferrari. He and Harry Prochik should have a good battle. Matthias Stumpf will be looking for some more pace. That Lamborghini's been quick all weekend, but he hasn't quite been able to turn it into results. There's Peter Charouz and Jensi Michael in 17th and 18th positions on the grid. Karun Chandhok will start in 19th place after a drive shaft failure in that Mercedes meant they couldn't get out, and Carlos Vieira will start at the back of the grid. Unfortunately, that BMW Team India car won't be taking the start. And this is on board with the pole sitter, Sebastian Loeb. Ortelli letting him know that he's there.
Oh, very much. There's a lot of mind games going on right now, and Stefan Ortelli more than capable of inflicting, a strike on the run down to turn 1 at the earliest opportunity.
The safety car comes in. The 1-hour race for the 4th round of this year's FIA GT Series is about to get underway. Ortelli is way in front of Loeb as the lights go out. I don't know how close they were when the lights actually went out because it was difficult to tell, but Loeb has got a poor start. Here comes Andreas Simonsen right towards the inside. Loeb's getting squeezed. It looks as though Ortelli's going to take the lead around the outside, and he does. Loeb's swiping, and spun round is Alan Day. Alan Day in the number 1 HDP Gravity Charouz Mercedes is in the gravel trap. What a disastrous start for the race for them. Up into 3rd place already has come the 21 car of Ricardo Zonta. Brilliant start from him. And smoke, that's Loeb. Sebastian Loeb has a front left puncture. What do these guys have to do to get luck?
Well, I can't say I told you so, but look at Alvaro Parent's face does tell us so. He just got swamped. He got actually a fire. The tyre and the wheel are on flames, and that's also with the brake. He needs to pull that car over at a marshal's post, let them attend to it, get that fire attended to. So what a disappointment for Sebastian Loeb and Alvaro Parent, and that fire is going to catch hold. Hopefully marshals are going to get there quickly, but he stopped at the chicane. Not the best place. We don't know if they're there. They are. Marshals getting now. Sebastian Loeb completely unaffected by that, but hugely disappointed. But he just got swamped. He held back. Now, what's that all about?
It's Alan Day. It's Alan Day
holding his
away
ribs.
from his car. Yep. Safety car has been deployed meanwhile. The start was interesting, wasn't it? Because it seemed as though Stefano Ortelli was well ahead of Loeb.
To me, it looked like he was about 3 car lengths ahead.
Here's a look at the replay then.
Well, look, there you can see Peter Cox. He's actually, there's the sandwich between the McLaren and the Mercedes. And Peter Cox then, the Mercedes of Alain Day, that's what it was. Alain Day clipped the left front of the Lamborghini. That's what spun Alain Day off into the gravel on turn 1.
I didn't really see where Loeb's issue came from. He didn't seem to actually get involved in all the contact. He obviously did, because there's the compelling evidence. Here we go. We'll see on board with Loeb here. Cox is there.
There was contact,
he gets a bit of a nudge.
That's small, but it's sufficient.
Yeah.
Whenever the bodywork and the tyre come into contact, friction, heat, sets off a fire. Probably the resins in the bodywork. That's most likely what caught fire. There is the Lamborghini of Cox, and Rosina in that car clearly ain't going to be going out on track, and that's what a huge disappointment for all the fans around Bratislava.
But the safety car is pulling in now, and racing gets back underway here at the Slovakia ring. How has Ortelli judged this restart then? Reasonably well. He's got a bit of a gap over Andreas Simonsen, not a huge one though, as they come out of turn 14 and across the line to resume racing after that brief safety car period. 0.4 of a second between Ortelli and Simonsen. The Audis struggle a little bit in the straights. Is Simonsen going to go for it? No, he's not. It's side by side further back. This is the Grasser Racing Lamborghini going side by side with Sandstrom. This is Prochik attacking Sandstrom, all over 7th place, and he's got through. He's just gone around the outside at turn 1. Great stuff from Harry Prochik. And there is Sebastian on the pit wall.
Même Andy qui est 4 voitures derrière, il le dit à la radio.
And here comes a look at the inside from Sandstrom. He's just about managed to get past, has he? Yes, but Harry Prochik's holding it in there. Bit of a touch between them.
Yes,
and
wheel
Prochik
to wheel.
holds the position.
Yeah, wheel to wheel, so a bit of blue smoke came off the tyre, the rear, right, or left rear of the Lamborghini, but hopefully no damage to that tyre.
Well, let's go down now and hear from Sebastian Loeb. He's on the pit wall with Emily. Let's find out what he thought happened.
Sebastian, what happened out there?
It happened that on the formation lap before the green flag, I'm leader, so I have to decide of the rhythm. And the car who was next to me, the second car, was going away. So for me, it was no green flag. It was impossible. Finally, it went green, and some other car went for sure on the rhythm of the other one. We were overtaken everywhere, but it was a wrong start. So that's the problem, and we paid it quite expensive.
Start of car 11 is now under investigation. Oh, and Carlos Vieira is out of the race. So that Audi has been parked, unfortunately.
Let's look again and see what was going on. Coming out of 13, side by side, everything is
That's
normal.
all fine.
Everything's fine. Suddenly Ortelli is Loeb slowing down deliberately, or is it his right to do what he chooses? And was Ortelli just ignoring it and saying, well, I'm going to do what I believe is right, and then it all goes wrong.
Drive-through penalty for Stefan Ortelli for a jump start. There's not really much argument can be had about that. And into the pits comes Stefan Ortelli to serve his drive-through penalty.
We've seen what's happened. I'm amazed that Ortelli would have done that. And I'm sure he'll have a whole list of reasons why it happened. Whether it was gamesmanship on the part of Sebastian Loeb, or whether it's still the responsibility of the entire field to follow the pace of the car on pole position. And there is no excuse.
Pit stop window then is open. Into the pits comes the BMW then. So Ricardo Zonta comes in to hand over to Sergio Jimenez. Also into the pits is Nicky Meyer-Melnoff. That's Albert von Turnen Taxis coming in as well to hand over to Mark Basseng. Also Wolfgang Wright coming in to hand over to Alex Buncombe. So it's going to get busy in the pit lane now. But all eyes really, at the moment anyway, in this stage of the race, are going to be on the Team Brazil squad. René Rast could come into contention later on in the race, but I don't think in this pit stop window they're going to be challenging for the lead. We'll keep an eye out, because it's that BMW that came in.
It is, and there's off the jacks and it's rolling.
Yep.
So it's on its way. So Sergio Jimenez is back down the pit lane and watching the Nissan change. Alex Buncombe and Wolfgang Wright, but now the Audi gets running René Rast. So it's going to be a real... René Rast did a brilliant job in qualifying. On Saturday, the team very impressed indeed with his pace and the manner in which he drives the car. Very, very smooth, not putting too many aggressive inputs into the steering, brakes. Gear changing, of course, now done on the paddle shifts on the steering wheel.
So René Rast comes out of the pits. Here's our race leader still, Andreas Simonsen. But it's all going to be about the pit stops. Into the pits comes the second Audi of Edward Sandstrom to hand over to Frank Stippler. That'll be interesting to see where these come out in relation to René Rast, because they were behind René Rast when the pit stop window started. Will they get out in front or remain behind as Philippe Salaquada comes in as well? He'll hand over to Fabio Anidi. On board we go with Sandstrom. Parks the car, gets out. Stippler gets in.
Good teamwork. These two drivers work both similar heights again, work well together. So Sandstrom out of the car very quickly, Stippler into it equally quickly. Driver change completed. There is the BMW.
So the BMW should come out well ahead of these guys. It's going to be the second Audi that is the one to watch out for. Out of the pits comes the Audi. Oh, it's going to be close.
It's going to be closer.
I underestimated that one. A good start from the Audi, but the BMW does hold the place.
The question is,
exactly.
René Rast.
It's going to be Rast, isn't it? He'll have the inside line,
and in a way, that's in the interest of the team.
Yeah.
So there's the McLaren coming in. So yeah,
this is going to be our first sign as to whether this is. I mean, this is the battle for the Pro Cup. Simonsen is in the Pro-Am Cup. So as far as the Pro Cup and Pro Championship is concerned, this is very important for the Sebastian Loeb Racing McLaren team. Because will they come out in front of the BMW Team Brazil?
And just behind is Sari Project coming in the Lamborghini. Dominic Bauerman's going to jump into that. But this is the key pit stop. And see whether get Mike Parisi in as we wait to see when the Mercedes has got to come in now. They've got to run out of time otherwise.
Now that's a good pit stop there, and I think that'll be enough for the McLaren team. It's going to be relatively close, but the McLaren's heading towards pit exit now as Jimenez comes out of the final corner.
Go on, make a commitment. Is he going to do it or not, Jack?
Yeah, I think the McLaren's going to stay ahead here. Here comes Jimenez, though. Down the start-finish straight, it's going to be mighty close. Jimenez is up to speed, but he hasn't managed to do it. So that McLaren now is into the pro lead and overall second place for the moment. But we'll see what happens when Andreas Simonsen comes into the pits, but for how much longer? Because Jimenez knows he has to do it now. He goes through on the inside of turn 2, and Jimenez takes the lead of the Pro Cup.
Well, that was...
Had to be done, didn't it?
There's no doubt. René Rast. Yes, absolutely. Now, that had to be done at the earliest opportunity. Mike Parisi out on a set of tyres, not up to track temperature, operating temperature. Jimmy Jimenez knew he had maybe one corner, two at most, and now René Rast is all over the back of Mike Parisi, and it's going to be an uncomfortable intersection of this circuit.
Yep, absolutely. So the BMW will hope that Parisi holds these guys up and he can scarp a clear. Parisi desperately trying to get some heat into those tyres. Here's our race leader at the moment, Andreas Simonsen, in the HDP Gravity Charouz Motorsports Mercedes. He's got 20 seconds to get in. He should be able to do it as he comes in now.
Well judged. That was a well-judged strategy from that team. But there's the battle for effectively now what will be the lead of this race.
Yep. Well, we'll see.
Oh, nice one.
Depends how quickly these guys can get the car turned around. Sergei Afanasiev will be taking over. Quite a lot of pressure on the Russians' shoulders, and this is perfect news for the BMW Team Brazil squad. Oh, can Parisi hang on in there? He's going to have the inside for the right-hand kink, and he can just about. But this is some close stuff now as we come out through the left-hander that takes us onto the back straight, side by side. And the Audi's looking pretty quick in a straight line. Has Parisi lost it already?
He has,
yes, he has.
Indeed. And there's also Stippler looking to come up the inside as well.
Oh, that was a close one.
Well, I mean, all Mike Parisi's attention was on René Rast.
But meanwhile, here comes Sergei Afanasiev out of the pit lane, and he is going to hold on to the lead of the race for the time being. Brilliant stuff from the HDP squad.
And just look how far back we've seen Mike Parisi fall from the rear. And in fact, he's been overtaken by Stippler all around the outside. Yes, he has. Yeah. Just sheer horsepower, straight line speed. And Mike Parisi a little bit late in the brakes, getting into some sort of bits and pieces of trouble.
We go on board now with Frank Stippler in 4th place. As the cars head towards the Blancpain chicane once more for the 20th time. Jimenez kicking up a little bit of dust. As a result, covers the inside line. Is this... I thought maybe Stippler was thinking about it, but he's got to You can't take off your teammate.
Don't take your teammate off. But I mean, he had a look down the inside.
Oh, and he's through.
Passed.
Rene Rast has got through into the lead of the Pro Cup. Is that a problem for the BMW? Because through as well now comes Frank Stippler, and this is on board with Frank Stippler. We exit the corner.
It's coming out of turn 3.
No, turn 3, and then
he
Rast
just
cruises past.
I mean, there's no obvious reason he didn't run wide. Stippler does the same into turn 5, and then this running into this very long. So, to me, there was an issue with the car. Now, unless the driver went to sleep and decided to wake up again, which I don't think was the case.
So down into the right-hander, and look at this. That's Van Thor. He's got past Jimenez as well. So it's Audi 1, 2, 3 now in the Pro Cup. And here comes Alex Buncombe. He's got a great drive out of the chicane, and he's going to move up into second in Pro-Am. He runs wide. Can Anidi find the little nose to get back past? No, he can't. Oh, look at this. This is going to get a little bit close, isn't it? As they all try and fan out. Where's the room going to go? Stippler tries to slice through them, and somehow they remain in the same order as before, trying to get through those back markers. That was a nervy moment.
Now watch. Rast goes to the right. Wow, what a manoeuvre. But he almost clipped the back of Rast as he made that pass.
Look at this, and Van Thor's through. Van Thor is past Stippler and up into second place in the Pro Cup. Now, was that a genuine move, or was that Stippler letting him go? I can't believe it will be the latter, because these two are the top 2 in the championship. So Van Thor is up into second now. Will we see Rene Rast back off? Perhaps. If Stippler let Van Thor through, it would make sense that Rast would let Van Thor through as well. But Stippler doesn't seem to be giving in that easily. Andreas Simonsen took the car, moved it up into second place. Ortelli got a drive through. Sergei Afanasiev took over, and HDP are about to win the main race here. Fantastic victory for Afanasiev, but in the Pro Cup, it's a 1, 2, 3 for WRT Audi. There's Rene Rast. Climbing out of the car. Second on the road. But a win in Pro Cup is what matters, the full 25 points. There's our overall race winner, though. Sergei Afanasiev in the car, Andreas Simonsen opening the door. And what a fantastic performance that was from them. Bumps his head a bit on the way out, but there's Afanasiev. The young Russian driver. So fantastic victory from them, and we can now hear from Afanasiev and Simonsen there down in the pit lane. And look, there's John Watson.
Sergei, Andreas, winners overall, but winners of Pro-Am as well. How good is it today?
Cool. This guy done a great job on the start, and then I had just to keep it up, and I done it. That was cool.
It's really amazing for us. This is from the start, everything perfect. The team did a great job now. We finally got a good car, and it's just awesome.
It's a very strong performance from them. But we can now hear from our Pro Cup winners. Brilliant drive from Rene Rast, no doubt a happy Nicky Melnoff.
Nicky, Rene, an interesting race, hard work all the way through.
Yeah, at the start it was, I had the feeling that there were a lot of cars going really quickly before the red light, but there was nothing I could do, and I tried to cover the inside, and then I was lucky to stay on the inside and not involved in the first crash. So, and then I tried to stay with the guys, and then was the safety car period, so there was nothing much I could do. I could only wait and bring the car safe to René, and then he did a fantastic job to go from 5 to 2, and he really had to fight hard because of also from the competition from their own team. But I'm extremely happy to finally have a win in the pro class in this championship, so I'm really happy and excited, and I'm glad that we could finally pull it off together.
Here's the results then. The Pro-Am car winning the race in the hands of Sergei Afanasiev and Andreas Simonsen. 4.1 seconds clear of Nicky Melnoff and Rene Rast, Stefan Ortelli and Laurens Vanthoor. Third overall, second in class. Sandstrom and Stippler, I think they'll be frustrated. They could have got second place overall in the winning class, but they've ended up third. Zonta and Jimenez, no doubt delighted with their performance. Best result of the season so far for the BMW Team Brazil squad. only 17 finishes in the end, or sorry, only 14 finishes in the end after various incidents. Marc Basseng had to park his car, as did Carlos Vieira. So those are the race results, and this is what it does to the championship standing. Stefan Ortelli still at the top on 94 points. A good 19 points clear now of Sandstrom and Stippler. Melnoff and Rast are now into third place in the championship. So it's WRT 1, 2, 3. Max Buch and Alan Day will be ruining their non-finish from a good position. Parisi and Zuber are now into fifth place in the championship overall, with Cox and Racina sixth. And here comes the winner's trophy into the hands of Nicky Melnoff and Rene Rast. Brilliant performance from them. Really impressive drive. Perhaps more so from Laurens Vanthoor. Maybe he'd be your driver of the race after recovering from a drive-through penalty to go on to win the race. But there's the trophy for our overall race winners, Sergei Afanasiev and Andreas Simonsen. Brilliant performance from the Russian and the Swede. And they spray the champagne. My apologies, it was the German national anthem, of course, that played for HDP Gravity Charouz, as the girls very cleverly make their way off the podium, and I think they've avoided the worst of it. Oh, that one hasn't. Unlike the cameraman, who's not been doing this job long enough to know he needs to get out the way of the champagne. As the congratulations go on the Pro-Am podium. Great stuff from the HDP team. That's 2 overall wins in a row for them. Thank you very much for joining us this weekend here at the Slovakia ring. From Emily Groom down in the pits, John Watson alongside me, and me, Jack Nichols. We've very much enjoyed your company. It's Stefan Ortelli and Laurens Vanthoor who lead the championship as we leave Slovakia and head to sunny Spain for the 5th round of the 2013 GT Series.